if you were listening to this right now, chances are you're a retail executive.
Oh, definitely.
And if that's the case, you are probably intimately familiar with well, a very specific recurring operational nightmare.
We all know the one.
Right. So a massive new capsule collection drops on a Monday. And by Wednesday, your frontline associates are expected to sell it.
Right.
I mean, they need to know the hidden features, the exact fabrications, how to style it.
How it compares to last season's bestseller. They need to be, absolute experts.
Exactly. But the high-quality training video that's supposed to give them all that confidence, it isn't scheduled to shoot until next month.
Yeah, it is the classic execution disconnect. I mean, the product is physically right there on the floor. The customer is walking through the door, but the critical product knowledge is just stuck somewhere in a post-production editing bay.
Welcome to this deep dive.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever felt the pain of that exact scenario, you are going to want to hear what we found in today's intel. We are looking at a stack of sources today. We've got press releases, product briefs, a blog post from a company called Multimedia Plus, or MMP.
Yeah.
And they recently launched this new platform called MMP AI Studio.
Right, which is quite a leap.
It really is. So our mission today is to explore how this specific AI architecture is fundamentally altering the economics and really the underlying mechanics of retail video production. I mean, we are talking about a massive structural shift for both employee training and consumer e-commerce.
It's a profound shift in how retail operates. And what's fascinating here is that we really need to understand right out of the gate that the scenario you just described.
The Monday drop with the late video.
Yeah, exactly. That is not a resource problem. I mean, it's not a matter of your learning and development team, your L&D folks just, failing to work hard enough.
Oh, definitely not. They're usually overworked as it is.
Totally. It is a fundamentally broken model colliding with modern retail reality.
Okay, let's unpack the mechanics of that collision. Because if you look at the blog post in our sources, they frame the root cause so clearly. The timeline for retail has just completely changed over the last decade.
Oh, beyond recognition.
Right. Product cycles have accelerated to this breakneck pace.
Yeah.
We went from having, 4 distinct seasons a year to weekly drops, rapid-fire collaborations, constant inventory shifts.
And the underlying friction here is that while the retail calendar moved to a hyper-accelerated weekly cadence, traditional video production just remains stubbornly stuck in the quarterly era.
It's so true.
I mean, traditional production was designed for a time when assortments changed maybe 4 times a year. You simply cannot use a quarterly tool to solve a weekly problem.
No, you can't. And the friction becomes so obvious when you break down the traditional bottlenecks they detail in the sources. I mean, if you want to make a high-quality video today, it is a massive logistical chain.
It's a nightmare.
You write a script. You route it for stakeholder approval. You schedule talent, finding actors or internal subject matter experts. Then you have to book physical studio time.
Hire a lighting and sound crew.
Right. You shoot the video, and then you just wait weeks while an editor cuts the footage, color corrects, adds graphics.
And every single link in that chain represents time. Right.
Yeah.
Time and thousands of dollars in capital expenditure per single video. It is highly manual.
Yeah.
It's a highly serialized process. You can't even start step 3 until step 2 is perfectly finished.
It makes me think of an analogy to really illustrate, the absurdity of using that old model today.
Let's hear it.
So relying on traditional video production for fast fashion weekly product drops, it's like hiring a master oil painter to paint a bespoke portrait of your storefront every single week just to see who walked in.
Wow, yeah.
Versus just installing an automated security camera. I mean, one is a slow, expensive piece of art. The other is an automated, scalable system built for immediate data capture. They just operate on entirely different paradigms.
Yeah, that is a highly accurate way to look at it. You are shifting from bespoke creation to algorithmic assembly. And the blog post actually identifies the consequence of failing to make this shift. They call it the training content gap.
The training content gap.
Right, because when the physical product outpaces the informational content, the ripple effects across a retail brand are just devastating.
Yeah, you end up with a growing backlog of products just sitting on shelves. And an army of associates who are expected to sell them but lack any actual tools or knowledge to do it well, which naturally leads to a massive drop in confidence.
Oh, absolutely. And from a psychological standpoint, an unconfident associate is an immediate liability.
Customers can smell it, right?
They sense hesitation instantly. If a shopper asks a really highly specific question about a garment's waterproofing and the associate guesses or stumbles, The trust is broken, and that leads directly to a lost sale.
But is the alternative just, like, letting associates guess what the product's features are?
Historically, yes, or giving them a dense packet of paper they'll never read.
Ugh, right. And the downstream consequence of that gap doesn't just hurt the physical brick-and-mortar store either. The sources point out this exact same gap exists on the e-commerce side.
Oh, for sure.
Product pages end up lagging behind the actual launches because they are waiting on that exact same slow production cycle to create rich, engaging video content. By the time the video is live on the website, the optimal window to convert those online customers has already completely closed.
Yeah, you've essentially paid to manufacture a product, paid to ship it to stores, paid for the marketing to drive foot traffic, and then you just stumble at the very last inch of the marathon.
Just because the human being interacting with the customer didn't have the context to close the deal.
Exactly.
So we have this widening content gap causing massive operational friction.
Which brings us to how MMP AI Studio actually functions to bypass this entirely. Like, how do we get away from the blank page problem?
Right, the hardest part is always starting.
Yeah. I was digging into the product page from our sources, and they detail how a user initiates a project. It's basically URL magic. The ingestion phase. This is where the workflow paradigm completely inverts.
Right. You don't have to write a massive creative brief or gather a giant folder of assets. A user literally pastes an existing website URL, like a live product page, straight into the MMP AI Studio platform.
Not just copy and paste.
Yeah, and the AI then automatically scrapes that page. But it's not just a copy-paste job on the back end. It uses natural language processing to extract the product names, the descriptions, the key selling features, and the high-resolution images.
It treats your existing digital footprint as the raw, structured data for video production.
And from what I understand of the mechanics, it actually separates the marketing fluff from the core specs.
Oh, that's crucial.
Right. It knows the difference between a sentence that says, evokes the breezy spirit of the Mediterranean, and a sentence that says, constructed from a 100% moisture-wicking merino wool.
It grabs the wool part.
Exactly, it grabs the wool part. And here's where it gets really interesting. Then it auto-generates a complete script, maps it out on a visual timeline, sequences the entire video, creates animated product visuals, and lays down a professionally scored music bed.
And we really need to pause here and look at the operational leverage this provides. David Harouche, the CEO of Multimedia Plus, is quoted in the press release saying, MMP AI Studio changes the math entirely.
Changing the math. It's a bold claim, but the mechanics really do back it up.
They do, because you are compressing what traditionally took weeks of multi-departmental coordination into minutes of back-end processing. This completely redefines the roles of your personnel.
How so?
Well, your training managers and your L&D leaders are no longer acting as stressed-out production assistants trying to wrangle actor schedules and lighting crews.
Oh, thank goodness.
Right? The AI handles the assembly. The human instantly becomes an editor and a director.
Which frees up their cognitive load to actually focus on the strategy of the training. They can review what the AI generated, tweak the phrasing, ensure the learning objectives are met, and just hit publish.
It shifts the human effort from the tedious logistics of creation to the high-value work of curation and strategic alignment.
Well, let's talk about the on-camera talent.
Yeah.
Because automated scripts and slick motion graphics are great, but retail is inherently human.
Very human.
So if you replace human actors with AI, how do you avoid the video feeling entirely robotic, like you were just watching a spreadsheet read itself out loud?
That has been the primary barrier to entry for early AI video. You know, the uncanny valley effect.
Yeah, where it just feels a bit off.
Exactly. It felt sterile, generic, completely disconnected from the brand's reality. But the sources outline how MMP addresses this through what they call the virtual presenter library.
This part is fascinating to me. You generate a roster of AI on-camera hosts, and each one has a unique look, personality, and voice. But the mechanism that actually grounds this, and this is so specific to the psychology of retail, is the environment rendering. These AI-generated hosts don't just stand in front of a generic white background or a fake news desk.
Right, which looks so cheap.
Totally. The system actually renders them standing inside your brand's actual physical store environments, wearing your brand's specific uniform guidelines.
That is a vital detail for cognitive immersion. If an associate is standing in a back room watching a training video, the context needs to mirror their reality.
Yeah, if the avatar's wearing the same lanyard, the same apron, standing in front of the exact same fixture the associate is about to walk out and clean.
The cognitive distance between the training and the application drops to zero.
It maintains absolute brand consistency. It makes the content feel native to the company culture, rather than something outsourced to a third-party agency that just doesn't understand the vibe of the brand.
Precisely. But if we want to talk about true global scale, we have to examine the multi-language video generation. Because for any retail executive managing an international footprint, localization is the exact point where the entire production schedule usually just collapses.
Oh, absolutely. The traditional localization process is a nightmare. I mean, you have to translate the script, hire entirely new regional voice actors, bring them into a booth, and then have an editor manually adjust the original video to try and match the new audio track to the old visuals.
It's why so many brands simply don't localize. They just can't afford the time or the money.
Right.
But with this platform, the sources describe a one-click localization architecture.
Just one click.
One click, you generate the core video in English, then you select a target language, and the AI translates the dialogue natively, completely revoices the audio using the avatar's voice model.
Wait, really? It keeps the same voice?
Yes, and it dynamically re-renders the visual presenter's mouth movements to match the new language and localizes all the on-screen graphics and captions
In a matter of minutes.
minutes, with zero incremental production cost. Think about the strategic leverage this hands a global brand. Historically, because of strict profit and loss constraints, the P&L, executives had to make painful budgetary choices.
Like, do we spend $20,000 to produce this vital training video in English, or do we do it in Spanish?
Exactly. Or worse, you just produce it in English, slap some tiny, hard-to-read localized subtitles on it, and just hope your teams in Mexico or Germany can parse it out.
Which is so common. But when the marginal cost of localization drops to effectively zero, you don't choose anymore. You instantly produce English, Spanish, French, German, and Japanese.
The bottleneck of language is entirely removed from the P&L equation. This actually allows brands to test marketing and training in secondary markets, say expanding into Southeast Asia or Eastern Europe, markets that previously couldn't justify the upfront ROI of localized video production.
Okay, I have to play the skeptic here for a minute.
Go for it.
Because if I'm a retail executive listening to this, I'm hearing all this about AI video generation, and I'm thinking, look, there are dozens of generic, free, or very cheap AI video generators out on the internet right now.
Oh, tons of them.
So why would I pay for an enterprise purpose-built platform? Couldn't a scrappy marketing intern just use one of those random off-the-shelf AI tools to make these videos?
It is the most logical executive pushback. Why buy the specialized tool when a generic large language model, an LLM, is sitting right there?
Right.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture of the operational realities of retail execution, relying on generic AI is incredibly risky.
How so?
The blog post explicitly breaks down why generic tools fail in this specific context. Retail microlearning operates under very strict, non-negotiable requirements. The primary one is absolute product accuracy.
Because generic AI is infamous for hallucinating, right? Like confidently making up facts that look structurally plausible but are completely wrong.
Exactly. Now imagine your intern uses a generic AI to generate a training video. The AI confidently scripts and presents a video telling your frontline associates that a new sweater collection is 100% cashmere when the actual product is a synthetic wool blend.
Oh, wow. That's a disaster. But wait, LLMs are getting better every day. Couldn't that intern just use a really strict negative prompt? Something like, under no circumstances should you hallucinate facts about this product.
Prompt engineering is not a systemic safeguard. It is a polite request to a probabilistic engine.
A polite request. I like that.
Yeah. Generic AI pulls from the entire open internet to guess the most likely next word. It doesn't inherently understand your product. MMP AI Studio, however, uses a closed-loop data architecture.
Meaning it restricts the universe of information the AI is allowed to pull from.
Precisely. It is constrained via strict API guardrails to only utilize the specific product data it scraped from your URL or that you explicitly uploaded. There is zero room for error when you are teaching an associate what to tell a paying customer. It is built for absolute factual fidelity, not just rendering a pretty picture.
Which makes total sense because the liability of a hallucination in retail is massive. If the associate tells the customer it's cashmere, the customer buys it for a premium, takes it home, realizes it's a blend, feels completely lied to, returns it, and leaves a scathing review online.
Yep. One AI hallucination just permanently damaged a customer lifetime relationship.
Unbelievable.
And beyond the accuracy of the data, there is the complexity of retail training scenarios. The sources highlight a specific capability: role play and scenario videos.
Yes, I wanted to dig into this
Yeah.
because the platform allows you to generate scenes using two distinct AI actors interacting with each other on screen.
Which is incredibly difficult to do with generic off-the-shelf AI. I mean, generating one person talking to a camera is relatively easy. But generating a multi-turn, back-and-forth conversation between two avatars that visually models a complex customer interaction, like handling a return dispute or walking through an upselling technique, that requires a level of sequencing that generic tools simply aren't built for.
Because you can't teach the soft skills of retail, like tone, pacing, conflict resolution, with a bulleted list on a break room wall. You have to visually model the behavior.
And even with all this automation, the control architecture remains firmly with the human experts.
Right.
The sources note that training teams retain full editorial control before anything goes live. You aren't just crossing your fingers and hoping the AI spits out something usable. You can edit the script right there in the browser interface.
Or export it to a Word document,
Yeah,
right,
sure.
to route it through your legal or compliance departments for review before the final video even renders.
Exactly. You are firmly in the driver's seat.
And the workflow efficiency continues right through to the distribution phase, which is huge. Once the video is perfect, MMP publishes it directly into their flagship mobile-first platform called Insight.
Which is a crucial step.
It really is. It bypasses the messy reality of downloading massive MP4 files, uploading them to a clunky corporate intranet, and then just hoping someone clicks the link.
Which they never do.
Right. It pushes the video directly to the frontline associates' mobile devices, right, where they already work and communicate. It solves the last mile distribution problem just as elegantly as it solves the creation problem.
But we would be doing the listeners a disservice if we limited our view of this technology strictly to internal training. The economic leverage here extends far beyond the break room.
Which brings us to the ultimate two birds, one stone scenario detailed in the sources, the crossover into e-commerce.
The underlying logic is elegant. It is the exact same core data.
Right. The same validated product data, the features, the benefits, the high-res visuals that you use to train your internal associate can be instantly repurposed. The platform can take that exact same data set and render shoppable, consumer-facing videos designed specifically for your external e-commerce product pages, your digital ad campaigns, your social media channels.
It creates a massive ROI multiplier. You are leveraging a single core effort to drive both employee competency and direct consumer conversion.
That's incredibly efficient.
It is. Jody Harush, the president and chief creative officer of MMP, is quoted in the press release capturing this dynamic perfectly. She notes that this platform puts broadcast-quality video production directly in the hands of the people who know the products best.
The people who actually understand the merchandising strategy, rather than a third-party production house that just knows how to set up lighting. It removes the middleman completely.
And ultimately, for a retail executive analyzing their P&L, all of this technological capability ladders up to a single critical performance metric mentioned in the blog post: speed to competency.
Speed to competency, let's define that. How rapidly can you take a frontline worker from completely ignorant about a new product to confidently selling it on the floor?
Exactly. Faster content generation means you can actually keep up with weekly product drops. Relevant, visually engaging video training builds that competency infinitely faster than handing an associate a dense PDF manual.
Definitely.
And that speed directly translates to associates who are confident on day one. And confident associates directly, measurably increase average transaction value and elevate the in-store customer experience.
So what does this all mean? If we step back and look at the entire landscape we've mapped out today, MMP AI Studio is taking retail video production from a highly serialized, costly, weeks-long studio process and transforming it into an instant, scalable, closed-loop workflow.
A total paradigm shift.
By utilizing existing digital footprints, it's generating customized, multilingual, factually accurate content. And it's doing this simultaneously for the backroom where your team trains and the online storefront where your customers buy. It is taking the friction completely out of the system.
It is entirely rewriting the operational playbook. But, it also raises a deeper, perhaps more challenging question. This is something I think every retail executive listening needs to really ponder as this type of instantaneous AI capability becomes the baseline standard across the industry.
Oh, I love a good strategic thought experiment. Where does this lead us?
Let's follow the trajectory. If AI completely solves the speed to competency bottleneck for everyone,
Okay.
if every single retail associate worldwide, across all your competitors, is suddenly perfectly trained on every granular product feature the exact second a new collection drops, how will your brand differentiate its in-store customer experience?
Wow.
Right. When instantaneous, perfect product knowledge is commoditized and no longer a unique operational advantage, what becomes the new premium in retail?
That is a phenomenal point. When the knowledge itself is ubiquitous,
Mhm.
the competitive battlefield shifts entirely to human empathy, connection, and what you actually do with that knowledge in front of the customer. You've
Exactly.
automated the carriage building. Now you have to figure out entirely new, uncharted places to drive it. Think on that.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.